I don't want to do anything.
Yes, I'm just doing. Hold on a second here.
I may duck out a little bit early too, just so you know.
It's all good. If it kind of just does its thing, it does its thing. I'm not really like terrified. I'm just basically setting this up. I'm going to do my thing. We're going to see who shows up, how they show up, when they show up, and go from there. And if people aren't here, I'll make the loudest noise I can for 20, 30 minutes. If people are here, great. You know,
Yeah.
I can help them out. So that's how I'm treating this. So ah, you've had a busy weekend, I can tell.
Yeah, you too.
Uh,
Good for you, or you got more tomorrow?
that's it. This is it. I get to take tomorrow. Well, tomorrow I start working on Brad Anderson's audiobook, and then I'll make the thing. I'm an audiobook production company. I'll make that like crystal clear, so people know exactly what the hell I'm doing. But yeah, man, it's gonna be. I'm excited. I already got my first client. My goal is see if I can get to. I figured it out. I get to 20 clients in a year. I make a living doing it. It's not.
Nice.
Yeah, that's not a huge list actually when you sit there and
No,
think.
that's not hard to achieve at all, man.
Yeah. So,
Especially once you get going, you'll have more than you bargained for at that point.
oh no, at that point I'm not gonna like be. I'm gonna be very. Damn, my
Selective.
price goes up. My price goes up because
I
I'm.
hear you.
Yeah.
I Yeah, you should stop by the after party, I guess, tomorrow. Hang out.
Yeah, I might. I probably will at some point. It's like I said. I'm in a different headspace now, and it's. I don't know if it's shown that much. Maybe it has. Maybe it hasn't. But it's one of those situations. This is so weird. Did I? Huh? Yeah, it's one of those things where you just go, huh? No one showed. All right. Well, it is what it is. Give it another minute, and if it starts, hmm, I figure it's the one panel I think everybody should go to is the one no one shows up to.
Oh, well, I'm here.
Oh, it is what it is. It is what it is.
The one non-Canadian that you know.
Well, it's weird. It's so weird. Um, how things work out. Unless I screwed up somehow. I don't think I did, but yeah, it is what it is. Now we'll give it one more minute and then I'll start.
Cool. Would I be better served watching it on YouTube for you?
No, it's all good. No, that's it's all good. Like the YouTube's a bonus. It's for people to grab it if they really want it. I'm not concerned if people don't.
Cool.
I'm recording both. We'll give it one more minute here, and like I said, if no one shows, fuck it. You know,
Yeah, well, it'll be on the When Words Collide YouTube channel too.
next well, it's gonna be on mine tomorrow.
Nice.
So I'll definitely link people to it if that's what they want. I'm not gonna.
I'll share the link when you put it out there.
Yeah.
Sure.
So it's kind of an interesting one. It's yeah, stupid party. No, it's all good. It's just the way it goes. All right. Oh, here we go. Give it a sec here. Hello, Deborah, whoever Deborah is. Nice to see you, Deborah.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm not camera ready, so unfortunately I'll just be a black screen.
That's totally fine. Hey, I was worried no one would show up. That was actually the big concern of mine here because everybody's at the party doing their thing, which is totally fine. So give it a minute here, and then we'll start. By the way, actually, I'll ask this question since you are here. Are you a writer? Are you freelancer? What's your take?
I'm a writer who I'm about to start sending my first novel out to publishers for consideration.
Okay, so you're looking for a more traditional route. Okay, so I'm going to be talking about then for you just some things about traditional and indie and some different things you can look into depending on what you want to do to get published. So
okay,
all right. So
yeah, because one of the publishers I'm looking to submit to asks, a cover or this or that and a marketing plan, and I'm thinking, a what?
Well, yeah, marketing plan's good. You gotta have one. So.
I have no idea how. So that's why I'm taking these marketing seminars on the weekend because I wouldn't know where to start.
Fair enough. Okay, so on that note, let me make myself a spotlight here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Advertising in the Apocalypse. I am Joshua Penzalarusco, and I am here to do 5 questions: who, what, when, where, and why, and what this has to do with advertising. I've kept it like this presentation like this for a reason. We have entered interesting times, and the one thing about COVID, however long the pandemic lasts, is only going to be the beginning. There's going to be some economic upheaval, and a lot of how we've been doing things up until this point will change. So in times like this, you have to prepare for the future. And what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to explain to you what you're advertising, how you advertise, who, what, when, where, and why. So we're going to start with who. Who do you advertise? You advertise 2 things: your product and yourself. And the thing about that is, ultimately, what writers have to look at today is you are as much the product as anybody else. And as a result, you have to think not only in terms about what you're doing in terms of your writing, but how you present yourself as a person going forward. And that is very, very, very important if you're going to go and do this for a living. And I'm assuming if you are listening to this presentation, you are wanting to do this for a living. Who? What? This is the tricky part when you're a writer. There's a lot of paths you can go to succeed. I'm just letting someone come in right now because this is cool information, and I'm hoping people can come in and grab it. So I'll give away a minute here. Hello, Melanie.
Hi. I used the program link and it just has been sitting there. So I left and I used your link on your event page.
Okay, so that's twice Zoom has done that to me this weekend.
Okay.
Damn it.
I'm gonna go spread the word. 1 sec.
Yeah, give it a second here. Yes.
Yeah, I was waiting for about 10 minutes on the program link as well. And then, I checked the Facebook to see, did you guys cancel for some reason? And
no.
I saw
Okay.
your post.
That's twice. It's
okay,
twice
sorry.
Yeah. Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, maybe I'll just do this all again. I'll just give it 10 minutes, and I'll give it 5 minutes, and then I'll do it all again. All right, that's totally fine. So anyway, we got this awkward moment of silence here. How's everybody tonight? Jeez.
I'm excited to be here.
You were too far into it, so that's no big deal.
Yeah, it's all good. Yeah, so I'm gonna put this, share your story now. Let people come in that way. Kind of just see how we're gonna go. Wait a minute or two and see who wants to come in.
Oops.
you'll go back to the Facebook page in an hour, and somebody will go, "Where's that advertising panel?"
Yeah, no, that's pretty much how this is gonna work. I know it's how it's gonna work. So it's like, where did it get? Why did you do it? It's like, no, you did it. Why were we doing? We were at a party. Fuck. So it works. That is how it works. It is totally how it works. I'm all dressed up like a Viking and a civilized Viking here, and yeah, it's one of those things. Man, it's all good. So I'm letting people kind of come.
I have a question for you. Well, did they have you, all of the nominees, waiting until they announced the winner, and then were you on the?
Oh no, so it worked like this, like StreamYard. So basically, he told us like we only be in there for a set period of time, so we'd go on. So when my category came up, I went to the StreamYard link, and what ended up happening there was, what ended up happening there was, I just waited in the green room, and when my reward was over and done with, I decided that I would. What's the term? I would just leave. Why am I going to be there? I'm not going to go out there and accept it. So I left, did my thing, and walked away.
So they did have all of the nominees for each category.
I have no idea because honestly, I was in a solitary room by myself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Kind of weird. Okay. Well, I'm gonna start from the beginning again. Sorry about this, but then I'm just gonna keep. My luck now. Everybody's gonna come. It's like, oh my god! But anyways, that's okay. That's the way it goes. So, 5 questions. This is advertising in the apocalypse, and the reason why I say that is because although the pandemic may or may not last, however it's gonna last, the reality of the situation is the economic fallout is going to last for years to come, and there's going to be a lot of how we do things now that will not be there tomorrow. There will be new ways of doing things, of course. That is always how this works. But for the moment, and for just how life just generally works, things are about to change. And if you're a writer, one of the most important things you can do right now is advertise. And there's a lot of reasons. So who are you advertising? The answer is yourself. The answer is your product, whatever that may be. The reason you're doing this is you want people aware, always aware and attention. You want to look at the fact that Coca-Cola is advertising right now. Other companies are advertising right now. Car companies are advertising right now. And the thing about it is, with all this, that they will keep advertising throughout the whole pandemic. They will advertise long into economic fallout because there is money in trying to get people to spend their money. Companies will pay huge advertising dollars for it, and that's just the nature of the business. Now more than ever is when you advertise. You advertise. This is as much why. This is also why. Like, you advertise now because now you're about establishing your brand. You're about getting yourself out there and noticed now. Because if you wait, if you don't say anything, when the dust clears, the people who have been advertising this whole time are going to be the first people noticed. That's the reason you advertise, and you must advertise, especially in hard times. The economy does not matter. Business keeps going. Who and why? What? So if you're a writer, you got a bunch of options for what you want to do to publish. And there's a lot of pathways to advertise based on what you choose to do. If you're a traditional publisher, you're looking to go corporate. That's how I look at it. Because look, traditional publishers today are a lot more corporately structured than any other part of publishing. And there's a process. They have a method. They have an application process. Essentially, when they do submission guidelines, you get through. They have a system that works for them, and all power in the world to you and for you for that. Because frankly, it works. There's a reason why those books sell. There's a reason Brandon Sanderson sells. There's a reason, Julie Trineta sells. There's a reason, like, these people have names and reputations inside traditional publishing. And all the while they're doing this, though, they are advertising their brands. They're doing various things to keep themselves in the public loop, even if it's just as simple as talking about their day. That's a very important part of what you're doing. So you have a lot of options based on what you want to do. If you're an indie publisher, you are looking at a bunch of, depending on your financial budget, if you're depending upon how well established you are, depending upon how things are going forward, um, you can have a myriad of options depending on what you want. And that's actually really important because every writer has different goals. Some writers want to become Amazon bestsellers, some want to become USA Today bestsellers, some of them want to become New York Times bestsellers. There's the list and there's prestige. So you'll do whatever you're going to do with Amazon. You're going to look at Amazon ads, you're going to look at Facebook ads, you're going to look at that depending on what your goals are. My caution with writers is have a very clear idea of who you want to target as your audience. This is where targeting is so important. You don't, especially since you may be on a budget because of hard times right now, you have to choose your battles very carefully. Now, a guy like me, I am publishing books even right now. I have a book coming out in a week. I have a book that's already out. And I have merchandise, I have a podcast, and we'll talk about like a little bit of some of that extra stuff in a minute. But the important thing I realize is I have very clear goals about what I want to do right now in terms of how I want to publish. I'm going right now very digital. Down the road, I may kickstart like physical copies down the pike. But the thing about it is, I am basically, I have a clear objective of what I want to do. I want to get myself out there in categories. I'm going Amazon exclusive right now. Simply because for me, it makes sense. I'm a science fiction author. Science fiction and Amazon works very, very well together. And as a result, yeah, Amazon makes sense for me. But my advertising will not stop with Amazon either. What I'm going to be looking at in a couple months when Cloud Diaries no longer needs to be Amazon exclusive, I'll look at doing a new advertising campaign when I go to Kobo, when I start going wide and syndicate my book in as many different places as possible. I keep advertising the book. One thing about traditional publishing, they advertise their books for up to 2 years before they're released. Just to give you an idea of how much effort they put into their books, right? They have the money to do it. That's part of it, but they also realize that you don't necessarily become a household name in a month or 2 months or 6 months. You do it over years and being prolific. And honestly, we'll get to being prolific and how important that is. When do you advertise? You advertise. I had some really good advice from a woman named Heidi Engel, and she actually has a really good thing. 80% of the time you advertise you as a brand, whatever that brand is. And everybody's finding my room now, of course. You're advertising you as a brand 80% of the time. And the way you do that, it doesn't have to necessarily be, hey, buy my book. In fact, I'm telling you right now, that's maybe 10, 20% of what you're doing. You talk about things you care about, talk about your interests, talk about your day in your life, things you don't have problem sharing on social media platforms going forward. You do interviews. Interviews don't necessarily have anything really to do with plugging work directly. It's about getting to know you as a person. That's a big part of advertising, period. You're not just advertising your book, you're advertising you as a brand because you are a business, right? Whether you're working traditionally, whether you're working as an indie, you are a business. Basically, the decision you're deciding to do, I almost say I should do this again. But whatever you decide to do, you have to decide to you have to make the decision very clearly what your goals are, what audiences you want to reach, and when and how often. Advertise regularly. Like, it doesn't have to be every day, but it should be it should be more than every week. It should be more than every month. And I mean by that is put something out there that you're live, that you're doing something, like you're interested in something, that you care, that you're genuine, that you're authentic. You can do things that advertise you without necessarily feeling like you're having to sell. I think that a lot of people get really caught up in the salesmanship of things. And the thing about sales is, sales is very much a dirty word. It's a scary word for a lot of authors because you're asking yourself why, like who's going to buy my book? My counter argument to an author is you spent an awful lot of time crafting your book. And if you're not touting it louder, like this book is awesome and it's the best thing ever, no one's going to believe you, because if you're not going to do it, no one else is going to do it. When you get advertisers, I meant this on a show last night. When you get advertisers to do that work for you, one of the reasons they charge so much, there's two reasons. One, they know what they're doing, but the second reason is they can't feign enthusiasm. They cannot have the enthusiasm you have of putting your book together. And the fact that you're not saying anything or doing anything means that they have to make up for it for the enthusiasm themselves. That's the one advantage traditional publishing has. Those people are book lovers as much as they are business people, and they're pushing it to these places for you. But when you're doing it yourself, you have to be you. You have to make people believe that you care about this more than anything else, because you do. And you don't necessarily have to be loud. You don't have to be soft. You don't have to be obnoxious. You can, if it's you, be those things. But you have to be genuine, and you have to be authentic in what you're doing. And that is super, super, super important when you advertise. Where this gets interesting. Again, depending on what you want, you go certain ways. If you go, for example, like me, let's say you're Amazon exclusive, Amazon ads are one of the best ways to advertise. Amazon ads work best when you are exclusive to Kindle Unlimited. It's part of the monster evil empire thing. Some genres are really beneficial, like romance, science fiction, and thriller, right? They benefit hugely from Amazon ads. They do a lot there, better than most. If you do choose the Amazon exclusive route, and it works for some authors very well. If you choose to go broad, Facebook ads work quite well. But there's also other things you can do, like get reviews. Like there's Voracious Readers, there's BookBub. There's lots of services out there that can get reach and targeting, which is super, super, super important and critical. Going forward, like there are lots of services depending on what you're going for. And again, once you make those decisions, like those base decisions of what you want to do, what audience you want to target, what are your goals, once you have those very clear, you can choose the advertising that's best. On a budget, you can do an awful lot though too. Guest blogging, getting interviews, going on shows. There's a gentleman that goes by the name of Joe that's in this panel, and he will tell you, like, he's always looking for the next indie author, right? There are other shows like Spilling Ink. There's my show, Just Joshing. I interview people all the time. I invite people to come read all the time. And all of this is opportunities for you to do and advertise. Presentations like this is our advertisement too. You all have expertises in something, right? And you all have skills and interests that are fascinating, and people will want to come and see them. That's as much advertising as you talking about a book. Hopefully, like I said, and I'm doing this, part of the reason I am doing this is an advertisement for me. This is me being myself, helping you out. But also, maybe you guys like what I hear. You may end up picking up a book, or maybe you'll listen to my podcast, or maybe everything you do is a commercial for someone to get an opportunity to know you and know your work. One of the other most basic, simplistic ways to get noticed as well is simply, keep writing books, write good books. It's the most basic one, but that definitely does get the job done. The more books you write, the more content you produce, the more you make a splash out there. There's a lot of algorithms for that. There's a lot of terms you can do on SEO. I mean, there's even like in Amazon, there's categories. Kobo, there's categories. If you hit the right categories at the right point, you'll succeed. When I was doing The Cloud Diver, my last book, one of the things I did was I put cyberpunk and steampunk together because it's both. There's steampunk elements to the story, and then it's a cyberpunk novel, and it did quite well, right? It did quite well in terms of me succeeding. I did quite well with my first book. I'm working on Alice Zero, which is my next release, and I'm as a mashup, and Greek mythology and Alice in Wonderland. They're search terms that can definitely help. Can help with those algorithms. Who, what, when, where, why? Like I said at the very beginning, you must advertise, and like I said, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to hard sell. Talk about movies you love. Talk about, like, for me, branding wise, I do motivations for the every day. Sometimes I'll just simply say, like this week, one of my motivations was actually make the preparation. All that stuff is the moment and to enjoy it. It's very much me, and people can feel that it's authentic. Someone else doing a motivational thing might be like, you're full of hooey. I'm sure some people do think I'm full of hooey, but the thing about it is it's genuinely me. So the people I connect to will feel that connection. What's going on with my waiting room? Mr. Edwin is trying. Oh, there we go. You got people coming in now. Trying to get people to come in here.
There was a lot of people who couldn't find it, Josh.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that, and they're all coming in now. I almost feel bad. I hate Zoom. Sometimes I hate Zoom. Yeah, everybody. I know. My first one worked well, and everything else has just been kind of like It kind of worked, it kind of didn't. So, yeah. Oh, that might. I was at the party. That might have been why too. See, waiting room. Admit. Oh. Okay. Let's try and come in. Okay. So, who, what, when, where, why? Who are you advertising? You. Your brand. Your books. Your podcast. Your services. Whatever the case may be. What? What do you want? Do you want to serve a publisher? Do you want to work for Amazon? Do you want to be syndicate wide? One angle I didn't actually talk about, I'm going to make clear too, is there is another angle that a lot of authors aren't looking at right now, which is Kickstarter and mailing lists. The advantage to that route is the money is pretty much under your control. You have to build a mailing list. You have to build a following on those platforms. Once you build it, it is essentially your money. You'll never be on a bestseller list. You may not get the prestige a lot of authors do have. However, you can make a very comfortable living doing that. And there's definitely a strategy and campaign process, right, that can definitely help you succeed in Kickstarter. Those campaigns, I've seen buddies of mine have made 6 figures on one campaign. They didn't get there overnight, but they got there. And mailing lists, I know authors, that's all they focus on. They don't care about reviews. They don't care about interviews. They don't care. They try to do press on press, but mostly what they're interested in doing is funneling in people that mail, their mailing list, their customer base. Because from there, you actually build clientele. You can build relationships with people, and you can find the fans that will invest in you. And you get a really core group of people that will support you. That's the advantage to that route. The disadvantage, obviously, is you may never be a bestseller. You may never be on any list. But if your goal is simply to be paid, you can do an awful lot just going down that path alone. There's a lot of pathways to being a... But that is basically the short and sweet of it. There are a lot of paths you can go.
Look after her cat from October 10th to 17th while she's away on her honeymoon.
So I'm getting to I'll open it up. I will open this up to.
Excuse me, have you fucking seen my cat? And probably end up being at my house.
Ed, I'm gonna mute you here until you fix the cat issue here. So I'm going to go to gallery view here, and I'm going to open it up to questions. So does anyone have any questions?
Josh, I got a question.
Sure. Ask a question.
Let me just pull up my notes here. So when you were saying, let me just look here. Okay, so Sci-Fi and Amazon work really well together, and with Wide, Facebook is good. Like what kind of do you develop yourself a marketing plan ahead of time for your ads? Like I've used kind of both ads, you know, and not really had myself like a good plan ahead of time. So I started thinking.
I mean, there's a lot of ways you can try it. Like I said, Amazon's a lot more generous to its own ads when you're exclusive. They tend to they'll push that a little farther just based on their boosting. I haven't gone full into Facebook ads because this has been their what's the term, their striking point. But boosting, I think the ads do more. The ads do a lot more. I find boosts are okay if you, again, it syndicates you more, but you're not. It doesn't target. It's just it's just a very wide group of people that it might hit, and you might get some people with that. But I think you'd be farther ahead coming up with an ad that's targeting the audience you want. It makes way more sense to me to invest my time in the ad. As far as your plan, I look at a lot of authors look at marketing as kind of like this scary, oh my god, I gotta sell. Don't look at it like that. Look at it instead like, what kind of story am I going to tell to my audience? If you think about what an ad's designed to do, you're trying to sell your reader on an experience of your book. Your job is to actually convince people to invest their time in your work. Does that make sense? So what your ad should try to convey an experience that you kind of want to have the novel to feel like. For example, let's say your novel is all about penguins and horror. I'm just putting it together just for shits and giggles. It doesn't have to be penguins and horror, but it can be, right? Now, here's the deal, right? Okay, I want a horrifying penguin scene, right? I want something like terrible, terrifying. I want something that kind of feels like, right? I want people to feel that moment, right? So, what can I do in terms of slogan, like in terms of word count? What kind of picture can I paint with the ad? Like, what kind of imaging can I use to genuinely shock people? Go, oh my god! I create that emotional connection to my potential reader. What can I do to do that? Right? That's how you construct an ad. Don't construct the ad as, please buy me. I mean, we all want to make sales, but if you try it from the point of view of, let's tell a story. Okay? Once upon a time, there was this penguin about to get devoured by this evil killer whale. And that, right, like something really, right, and you make it look really gruesome. Maybe this giant, like a homage to Jaws or something to that effect. Yes, you're raising a hand.
Yeah, sorry, I really like that idea. It's like when you started, you were talking about, like the economy is going down. It's going to be like that for a while. Take advantage of ads now. Honestly, I'd cut back all my ads. I wasn't even thinking that. Like, of course, that's like really smart. Like, get your name out there because right now it'll be cheaper to get ads than it would be.
Well, it's not even so much about being cheaper. You gotta think about the whole game.
Yeah.
People aren't. If you stop advertising, people aren't going to know you're there.
But like if your bids on Amazon, if you can get them for less, would you increase your ads then so you're seen more? Or like what's your advice?
Oh, well, okay. So this takes practice. I'm not there yet. I'm working on it, but this takes practice. There are people who spend $1 on ads to make $2 back on Amazon. So obviously you budget your ad space accordingly. So let's say I put $50 in, I expect to make $100. I figure out whatever that formula is for my book to get to that point, and I just budget accordingly. I want to slowly build myself up. The fact of the matter is, you have to be smart in terms of what you're spending your money on. That's why I said it's very important to figure out what your goal is, right? If your goal is to hit readers, your specific kind of readers, you have to think about how to target those readers. What's the best medium to do that? It may not be an Amazon ad, right? It might be just going on a guest, do a blog tour. It might be, you know, okay. Does anybody else have any? Before I answer your question, does anybody else have any questions? No? Yeah? Okay. BookBub's really good. I'm using for my ads, I'm using a program called BookBrush. Right? They are really they make these really smart, sleek little ads. They have their stock footage is pretty solid. You can upload your own stuff too. Yes, it does. It really does. I'm doing an actual demonstration with them at the end of the month. I haven't advertised it yet, simply because I have so much on the go right now. So here's, I guess I'll mention this too. When you have a lot, yeah, BookBub is really good. There are some really good things you can do with BookBub, especially in terms of targeting. There's some great options there, depending on what you choose to do. Again, this is where I'm going to tell each and every author, what's your budget? What's your target? Yes. Right? What's your target? What's your target? What's your budget? And work accordingly and build yourself up to where you want to go, right? Don't just throw money out there for ads. Like I said, I imagine an advertising company like a call girl that fakes it. It gets paid to fake it. Because that there's some lot of truth in that. So if you're gonna, again, pick and choose what works for you. Everybody has a different need, a different niche, a different target. If you want to make a career out of Kickstarter, for example, that's a very different path than one making a career out of Amazon. It doesn't mean you don't use Amazon. It doesn't mean you don't use some of the other things, but you make your focus Kickstarter. If you're going to make your focus Amazon, you make your focus Amazon, right? Right? If you make your focus going wide, you make your focus, what's the best way to go wide, right? If you make your focus traditional, okay, how do I appease what they want, right? You think in all three, again, you're choosing your path, right? And whatever path you choose, you got to think in terms of what best serves me. Because the one thing you don't want, we are going to piss some money in advertisement down, and then everything we're going to do is going to be great. That's part of I mean, you are going to take those risks, but if you think in those terms, you'll save yourself some money and you'll save yourself some time. What's the story you're telling about your book to your audience? Think of it like that. Because if you think about it like that, it's a lot easier than you trying to think about sales. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes, got thumbs up. Woohoo, I know what I'm doing and stuff. Okay. Any other questions? All right. Got one challenge for each of you. So are you guys ready? Who are you? I'm asking this in the big metaphorical saying because you are a business. As much as you're authors, you are also a business. I'm assuming if you're here, you care about making money doing this for a living, right? It might be a hobby for you. That's cool, right? This won't fully apply to you. But if you're looking at it from the point of view of a business, who are you? What's your story? What's your story? Build your whole brand around that because it's the most authentic stuff you can do. What you offer that an advertising company cannot offer is your authenticity. There's only one you, right? There's only one you and no one can do you better than you. So your approach, your delivery, and your execution all come back to your story ultimately. And I mean your personal story, what you value, what you want to project to the world. Who are you? And who do you want to be to the world? And that's your focus as a brand. And as your product, write the best book you can and let people know how awesome it is. And capture the experience of your book in front of that audience. You'll find people that will dig what you're doing. Guaranteed. All right. So, this was a very apocalypse here. So, oh, hold on a second here. Yes. Yes. So people are people are going to want to watch this retroactively. Yay! So I'll put this up for everybody else. So last thing before I go, I did this yesterday. I'm going to do this today. Thank you guys very, very much for coming to my panel. And I'm putting out here my newsletter, my 2 books, and my main outlet for the podcast, although I am literally everywhere. So you can find me pretty much anywhere you can. I want you guys to succeed, right? Make your voice heard. More importantly, it's more important now than it ever was and will be until this is over. Because when this is over, you might be the only people talking, right? AK, I got a recording of it, right? I got a recording of it for people to come in and listen to it. So just when it goes up, I will make sure everybody's got it. So everybody else, what did you think? I don't know if you guys are still here or care. Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah. Well, I'm worried about Kaylee Canary and Shane Crotch and AJ Cotham, and I'm hoping you guys got, well, I know AK got something out of it. I don't know about everybody else, but I hope you guys did. Thank you very much for coming. The information's at the bottom there. Yeah. I'm glad. Oh, one more thing you guys should look up. Actually, this is actually something I just recognized I forgot to tell you guys about. Tele-influencer. It's actually a very cool little thing that no one really knows about. A lot of authors don't use it. A lot of YouTube shows, a lot of other things are advertising different books and stuff in that format. No author's going there right now. It's an opportunity that you might want to consider. It might give you a different avenue you haven't considered yet. So go do it. Find Tele-influencer and just go for it, because it's actually a really, really cool little it's a really cool little program that can really help you. So, who? You. What do you want? When? Often. Consistent. Where? Depends on what you want. And why? Right. Oh, Diane, got a question here. I'll do this here. Okay, traditional media. Let's talk about that real quick here. So one thing I wouldn't. So what I had done it before. It doesn't matter. Like you're where you're at. It's all good. So the strategy, if you are going to approach traditional media, one way of actually doing it that still kind of works is press releases. You can write press releases to the larger local papers around you. You can put stuff out there. I'm going to be very blunt. Like radio stations, television, and newspapers very rarely talk about books outside of the book section. They might focus on you depending on the city and where you're at, but it's very difficult. But where you might find success getting started, let's say you're in a smaller town, or you are around a bunch of smaller towns, right? Those newspapers are looking for content a lot more. So if you average, let's say, for example, you're in Seattle newspapers probably not going to care that much. Not because they hate you, but there's so much news happening all the time that small towns, look around your local small towns. Don't do a loop, like make a press release and go do a loop around your small town areas, because you never know. You never know what you'll hit. You might get an interview, and again, it's publicity. Don't argue with it. It's a way to do it. You'll do better on the smaller stuff than you will on the bigger stuff. It doesn't hurt to submit to the bigger stuff, because if you hit the right news day, you might get yourself somewhere. But most of that is kind of like playing a liar. Yes. Start advertising when your book is done and you're actually at the printer. Okay, so I would tell you, okay, a traditionally published book, 2 years before it ever comes out is advertised. It's advertised in libraries. Libraries is another spot you guys want to go to. Talk to your local library, right? Go to a local library. Talk to your local libraries. Let people know. Go to libraries. Go and say, hey, my book's coming out. Go to bookstores. Hey, my book's coming out. Tout your horn as much as you can. This is what traditional publishers do. They know the booksellers. They know the people that are coming in, right? They know who, like, they do this for 2 years. They go to big meetings with the big booksellers, book publishers. They do all that. Same with you. Like, if you know you have a book that's done, you advertise it the moment it's done, even if you're just in the printing process, because you can give them an electronic ARC. That's not uncommon anymore. So why not just the moment it's done, throw it out there? Yeah. Yes, exactly. Right? So that's what you do. You look at those areas where nobody else is looking at, and you build and you advertise as much as you can. Right? It doesn't stop once the book's out either. You keep doing it. That's why there's book signing. That's why you do appearances. This is why you do presentations. Right? The biggest work you're going to do as a writer is advertising. It's the biggest part of your job, right? Outside of creating the work, you're going to have to go out there and put yourself in positions where people, here I am, and you can't be shy. You don't have the luxury in this day and age. We're in the social media age, and as a result, you cannot be shy. Most traditional publishers don't market the same way either, because you have the platforms to do it yourself. You're going to answer questions. You're going to read mean tweets. You're going to see terrible Facebook posts. You're going to see, that's part of the game. This is 2020. This isn't, 1995, right? Where you still get away being in obscurity. You're going to go out there and you're going to have to be personable. At least you don't have to be like, me. I'm a loquacious bastard, but but you have to be willing to be open to engage with people, right? You might have a limit of how much you can do that, and that's fine. Everybody's different, right? And being quiet is not necessarily a bad thing either. A good interviewer will still get a story out of you if you're quiet, but you have to be open to that conversation. You can't avoid it anymore, which leads to the last thing I forgot to mention that I should. There's one social media platform that that depends on what you want. It really comes down to what you want, right? That there's no magic answer to that. That requires some research on your part in terms of what audience you're targeting. And also, what are your specific goals, right? That answer could be anywhere from no money to $100 to $1,000. If you get to the point where you're selling that many books, so that the number is going to go up as time goes on. I think the thing you need to keep in mind is, especially early on, not everything's going to work for you the same way. So I probably would start, I would just be conservative. Like I'll gamble, see if I get a result based on what I think will work. And if it works, spend more money. And if it doesn't, accept the failure. Fail fast, move on. Last part of this, the last part is I forgot to mention Instagram. And Instagram is something almost no author touches. And the reason why no author touches that is because it's pictures. What can I do? Then I look at what Mark Leslie's doing with his very many skits on Instagram. I call him Darth Vader. He's got the worst dad jokes in the world, and it actually like crushed my soul a little bit every time I see them. But he has such a fun, yes, exactly. Yeah, thank you. But the thing about it is, right? You have to be very much aware. You have to be very, very, very much aware that your personality is a very big. As a freelancer, I actually like Twitter more. I can so Twitter and LinkedIn as a freelancer, they actually work well because you network incredibly well. I find Facebook is the least, especially with all the COVID stuff. It's kind of Facebook's kind of a weirdly crazy place right now. Right, and so depending upon how your wall looks and who's fighting who over what on the day. I find Twitter can be very toxic, but I also find that it's easier to connect to professionals there. And LinkedIn, and it might be just me, by the way. Everybody's got like platforms they work better on. LinkedIn and Twitter, I find is when I connect to more professional people. In terms of, hey, I got a job. Hey, I got an audio. Hey, I got like let's do like a job. But I find for book sales, Instagram is easier to mount campaigns on. I find that Twitter is better for just that quick interaction with professionals. That's been my experience with it. But again, some people own Twitter. They just own it. And it's like, okay, you win. You're awesome. So, but Instagram is a way more fun interface. It is super, super fun. I'm gonna tell you though, a Twitter interaction I had today. A friend of mine, she was about to enter MMA do her first MMA competitions, and before COVID, and I told her, listen, I asked her what her disciplines were, and I said, okay, I better be nice to you so you won't turn me into a balloon animal. So I asked her really nicely not to turn me into a giraffe or a poodle, because a giraffe would hurt and a poodle's kind of awkward. So we negotiated that she can turn me into a frog. And that might seem like a weird interaction, but the thing about that is, right, that is a very Twitter-esque thing. Where I find Instagram is really great is the Q&As, the live streams, the just the general storytelling aspects of Instagram are amazing. And I feel that it's definitely something that authors aren't touching to the degree they should. Is there anything else, ladies and gentlemen? I always say, yeah. Is there anything else, or did that cover everything? I think I have a panel here. What do you guys think? Do I have a panel? Okay, so once again, ta-da, I'm just going to do it as the last thing. My newsletter. You want to subscribe to it? Subscribe to it. I got books for sale, right? Go. If you want to support me, support my books. And finally, I interview people and make an ass of myself on a general basis here, right? I'm good at it. They even gave me an award for it a couple years ago. I almost won one again tonight. I'm glad I didn't, because I would have had to wear a tutu. That's another story for another day. But I take myself very seriously. That's my brand, though. See, that's my brand. And you raising your hand, Miss Melanie? Okay, yeah, okay, gotcha. But it's important to be honest and true. And remember, what? No shares this year? No tutu. I lost. Derek deserved it. There's no argument for me. He deserved it. I'm not gonna argue. I got mine already, so I don't need to do it again. But it's always cool to be nominated with such really good people. So, yeah, Zoom's evil, but that's okay. Beyond all that, guys, thank you very much for your time and energy tonight. I hope you guys had a blast. I know Brandy very well. Brandy, you're awesome. I miss you. Right, I miss you. Miss Kaylee Canary, I don't know who you are, but it was nice to see you come on. Everybody else, AJ Kaufman, Shane, Sandy, Jen, G. I don't know who G is. Nice to meet you, G. Deborah, and Edwin, of course. It was nice to see you. Thanks for coming into the apocalypse, and I wish you guys nothing but the best. Good luck. Go forward. And finally, you have nothing to lose. If it doesn't go right now, we're in the apocalypse, guys. It's now. It's never. Go for it. All right. Hold on a second here.